you're walking next to your dad as he just shut this door. Do you remember how that felt?
For really confusing was number one. But number two was that I knew he had my back. Mm-hmm. And I've had this spring up in my life with a really, really good friend of mine, was actually best man at my wedding, once turned around and said that I was a really crappy friend. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, what's your definition of a crappy friend? He's like, well, we never go for a beer. We never go out and play pool. We don't do this. You don't come around for a barbecue. And I went through, like, who did you call when this happened? And who did you call when that accident happened? And who did you call when that relative passed away? And I went through like 5 or 6. He went, you. I'm like, I don't think I'm a shitty friend. I think I'm a bad mate. And I think I'm a bad mate to like you and David as well. I think I'm a bad mate. I will be in Florida and it doesn't even cross my mind to make the trip and do the thing and have the dinner. But if you said, I need you and I need you now, I'd get on a plane tomorrow.
And I know that to be true.
And that's who I am. And that's how I show up.
That's who you are. And that's how you showed up. And just by the way, when you do come to Florida, I don't take any offense to it. I can't speak for anybody else. But I don't take offense to it because, Peter, I think I find some similarity in my own life there. It's like you've only got so much energy to expend. And when you've got a whole life and things going on and you're building things, you got to focus on what's going on. And it's often difficult. Flying back and forth to California, the majority of my friends are in California. I spent my entire life in California. So going back there, it's like I want to see everybody, but I end up seeing over the last few years, like just my family.
It's just the way it is.
Doesn't mean I don't love you any less or I'm, a bad friend, like you said. But I really want to go back to February 23rd, 2020. You said the world changed in 3 major ways.
It was this year, 2023, it happened.
Oh, 2023 it happened.
2023, yeah. So there's 3 things, and actually I found a 4th one recently as well that happened in the last year. So one is the core of the Earth started spinning the other way around in February of this year. That's one of them, which apparently couldn't happen and has happened. And apparently, also, it's not a big deal. I don't understand how it's not a big deal, but apparently it's not a big deal. As long as it's spinning, it's not a big deal. If it stops spinning, that's really, really bad. But as long as it's spinning, it's okay. That was one. The second was someone got a Nobel Prize for proving gravity is more of a push than a pull, which all of us were taught it's a pull to the thing. We were all taught how gravity works. It's a pull thing, not a push thing.
Okay, all right.
And the other one, which is weird, is that the zodiac in COVID was announced to be wrong, and they added a 13th star sign and moved everybody's star sign. So
okay, now that one I heard a couple of years ago.
Yeah, so this is all in the last couple of years, and then So there's multiple ways, and the other one is somebody weighed a proton and found out that the weight that they'd been using for a proton for 50 years was wrong. And this is like the basis of thousands and thousands of calculations is the weight of matter, and it was proven to be wrong. So what I got from this was, we go back to this, is there really such a thing as an objective truth? Because I was pretty damn certain that gravity was a pull, not a push. I was pretty certain I was a Leo. And I was pretty certain that the world's core spun in a certain direction. And all those are false. They're all wrong. They're all wrong. So what value is it on saying, we go back to this sentence about saying, I am right, my belief is right, you are wrong. And actually, I think this is somewhere else in the book as well. The problem with being right is it infers somebody else is wrong. And telling somebody they're wrong is a bad way to have a relationship.
So how do you, Peter, I am not going to say agree to disagree. I'm trying to get this. There being a right. In most things there is a right. You said another thing about truth. Where is truth anymore? And you didn't say it during this conversation. You said it in a previous conversation that you and I had last week. And it was along the lines of the past few years. What is truth anymore? One of the things that you mentioned also was that 25% of the population no longer believes in biological gender.
Yeah. Now,
so this is,
I happen to believe that, and this is a conversation again. Me and my wife have been having along for quite a while, and I came to the conclusion recently that I'm now using this language because I think this language works. That her belief is superior to mine. So not right or wrong, just which belief is worth holding.
okay.
The beliefs that are worth holding are the ones that serve you. So I believe that if you're born with that chromosome, you're a male, and if you're born with that, you're a female. That's how I choose to see the world.
Okay.
And someone said to me that holds a different belief. Well, why is that important to you? I'm like, because it just is. That's the way it is. It is. And I'm like, well, I can't come up with another way of saying it. All I could keep saying apparently is that's just the way it is. And the person on the other side of this conversation turned around and said, yes, but can you not see, for the people that don't believe in what you're saying, that don't agree with what you're saying, how much are you going to put as a weighting on their mental health, on their happiness, on their cohesion, on how they feel in society? And the answer then becomes, for me anyway, how a group of people feel they fit in. If they feel they need to say, I identify more as a he or I identify more as a she, I think that's more valuable than my rigid, intransient, a man is a man and a woman is a woman. Because I don't gain anything from that sentence. But I do gain a lot in the world if I'm willing to say, I respect your right to say that you wish me to call you a he, not a she. Okay. What worldly difference does it make to me? Now, I'm not saying I don't still believe that. I'm just saying, well, isn't it a higher virtue for people to be happy and for people to feel comfortable? And I wish, and this is my true belief that sits behind all of this, I wish we lived in a world where the fact that you're a woman and I'm a man meant nothing other than you're a woman and I'm a man.
Right.
And that's where I want to get to. I want to get to a place where we have equal opportunity, we have full diversity, where we don't even need to have these conversations anymore, because it doesn't mean a damn's worth of difference as to what you can do, what I can do, and how you're treated and how I'm treated. But we are not there. That is not where we are. So in this transition period, what are we going to do? And if that means that I have to be okay with somebody asking me what are my pronouns, which I find absurd.
Right.
But if that's how you want to do it, then okay, fair enough. If that makes you feel better whilst we go through this process, then great. Fantastic. Love it. Let's do it.
Right. So I have the right to ask you what your preferred pronouns are, but you are by no means obligated to maybe post your pronouns.
No, and you have no right to judge somebody if they're not willing to do it.
Right.
Because that's just their belief.
Right.
And if you can't respect somebody's belief, how are you ever going to ask them to respect yours?
Right. And I really appreciate you being willing to go into this conversation because it is such a point of contention, I think, in societies all across the globe, not just in the US. You're in the UK. This is very much an issue there now. The question, where is the truth? I believe truth is there. There is a truth. If there wasn't truth, then what are we all doing here? How do we conduct ourselves as humans? How did we ever go from treating one another kindly, respectfully, and like, what is love? Like, what is love actually? And what is that love that you're seeking if it wasn't all based on some sort of understanding or some sort of belief, in your words, that there is some sort of a standard that we should be living by in order to be living in this unified existence, in order that man and woman are not seen as man and woman as like two totally separate entities, but as humans, right? Who are serving a purpose and serving multiple purposes and together living in unity and creating this harmonious environment. By stating that there is a right and maybe there is a wrong and there is in fact truth, you have a right to ask me something within the context of my belief system. So, therefore, because you have that right, because you have that freedom to do that, it also should be understood that I also have a right to not feel obligated to believe what you're believing.
Yes. Yes, yes, and yes. And at the end of all that, you get to a point of, does it really matter what somebody else believes? Like, why do we spend so much time trying to persuade somebody else that their beliefs are wrong?
Right. Why?
Like,
And
why?
that's,
Like, you and I have very different views on the divine, right?
I don't know that our views are very different. I feel
Well,
like
I
our
think,
views are starting to come closer and closer together, Peter.
you think that the divine is a good thing, and I'm pretty convinced then that she is a hormonal teenager. But anyway, the, let's not
We
keep
could
that
talk
in.
about that.
Wait, wait. I'm going to make sure you can't keep it in now by vaping on your video. No, what I'm getting.
This, even the thought of the conversation has you worked up.
It does. This is the question I want to ask most people. Like, let's take one that in the UK has gone past now. So in the UK, gay marriage is now fully legal, but it had a good decade of conversation about whether it was right or wrong. The question I wanted to ask people is not, do you think it's right or wrong? Is, why do you care? Why do you care? Like,
Yeah.
no one's infringing on your rights to do what you want to do. So why does it matter to you what they want to do? Why do you care? And I think when you talk about gender fluidity and non-binary and these kind of things, I think the question is, why do you care? Do you want to live in a tolerant world, yes or no? Like, do you want to live in a tolerant world, yes or no? I think the answer most people would have is yes. Do you want your children to grow up in a tolerant world, yes or no? The answer is yes. Well, if the answer is yes, then you have to tolerate things. And by the very definition of tolerate, it means you don't agree with it.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. But don't then say, because I think this, you must think this as well. And if you don't think this, you are wrong.
And you mentioned a moment ago considering somebody's mental health. What I'm hearing you say through all of these examples, Peter, is we need to eliminate the hurdles that we're creating for ourselves and one another to give and receive love and to give and receive non-judgment, acceptance in the sense of you're a human, I'm a human, we've all got issues, let's love one another. And I think this is where perhaps our perspectives on the divine come into play, because where I'm coming from is because I have this understanding or this belief, credible belief, nobody really knows until we get there what's actually going on. But I like to say I would rather believe and be wrong than not believe and be wrong. Right.
Yep.
And so if this is all in love, and I'm approaching you with love from the beliefs and understanding, maybe some insight that I have, and that's the only way that I'm coming toward you with this is in full love and saying, I care about you and your heart and your soul and your mind and all of you. That should be at the core of everything, right? Is that love piece. And I think what we're missing here is the love coming from both sides. And I think we're kind of in a screaming match.
I think it's more of a slinging than screaming, and I think it's got worse and worse. I think social media is one of the worst inventions that humanity has ever managed to come up with. And if you watch the film The Social Network, they go and ask the people, the main inventors behind most of the technologies, and you can skip almost all of it, apart from the last 3 minutes, where they ask the creator of Gmail, some of the creators of Facebook, some of the creators of Google Ads, do you let your kids use technology? And they go, absolutely not.
No.
No way will I let them anywhere near this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of all you need to know. Like if a person invents something that changed the world and said, I won't let my kids even near it, it kind of tells you what they think of it. And when I saw, I disliked it from the first minute because nobody posts about their piles or the fungal infection they've got in their nails or their stretch marks or the fact that they just called their wife a rancid accidentally, or. They post the wonderful picture of them on a beach and the picture of them kissing passionately on a broad walk and their kids doing this amazing thing. So this is not reality. You are not looking at reality. You are looking at a very, very highly curated version of people's lives. I don't even mind like the people that pose in front of the Lamborghini pretending they own it because that's just ridiculous and comical. It's just the scroll of look how amazing everybody's life is and mine isn't.
Yeah.
And we talk about that in the book where we talk about jealousy ignores sacrifice.
Yes.
It's one of the points. I remember when I went to Disney with the kids, and we went for like 4 weeks, and it was amazing. And one of my friends went, "Oh, I'd really love to do that." And my younger self would have lost his temper, but I didn't. I was like, I just sat there thinking, you could have done all the things I did. You could have worked 20 hours a day. You could have not gone to the birthday parties, not gone to the pub, not gone to the bar, not gone on holiday, and sat in this chair right here 20 hours a day earning money so that you could do this. And you chose not to. So again, people choose this curated highlight reel version of somebody's life and go, oh, that must be amazing. And it's like the amount of sacrifice and blood and sweat and tears that go into the moment, and then people get jealous and judgy of the moment. It's like, do you not understand the 1,000 hours that went into this one thing happening? Because yeah, that holiday cost the family $100,000 for a month away. Like it was a probably 50. It was I don't know the exact number. I would hate to actually add it up. It would make me cry. But we did Disney before, and it was a nightmare because we tried to do it in 6 days, and you can't get around everything in 6 days. If you then like you're route marching from one ride to another, like to try and get to your slot, like it's not fun. It's tiring. It's annoying. And I was like, you know what? I want to go for a month. And I want to go so I can go to the park for 2 hours and then come home and come back to the hotel. And I can go and literally do one ride and then just come back to the hotel and chill out by the pool for the day. And the only way to do that is to be there for a month. And we went in the middle of summer, so the hotel was cheaper, so we could get the hotel for the entire month. And we stayed in one of the Disney hotels, and the kids loved it, and it was amazing. But there was a lot of sacrifice to make that happen.
Just by the way, for all who are listening, you took one of the principles that's actually in the book about making something better and having a better experience than before. So you had a certain type of experience and you said, you know what? I want to do this and I want to do it better. I want to have a more optimal experience and I want to be able to enjoy this with my family. And so you planned, you calculated how much this was going to cost, like we do for many things, right? Many sensible people are listening, and you do this, right, for your families. You budget, and Peter, you said this is how much it's going to cost. This is what is going to be required of me in order to make this amount of money to be able to afford this expense or this experience. So it wasn't like you just had loads of money sitting around and you just, you put everything on credit cards. You counted the cost, you worked your butt off, you made sacrifices, and then you spent an entire month at Disney with your family.
And it was a month where I did a maximum of like 1 hour's work a day. Like it was very, very intentional about spending time with them, spending time with Liz, and it was beautiful. Like every time I go to Disney, and I'm going to be sad the day it doesn't happen anymore. When we go to the fireworks, at Magic Kingdom and Tinkerbell, it's not a zip line.
Yeah.
It's Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
And that moment, watching it through their eyes of them experiencing magic, I can't think of anything I'd rather spend money on than whilst they're this age and they're actually going to think it's actually magic. Like, how cool is that? Like, I would love to be able to visit my naive self again now and actually think something was magical. Actually, you know what? I do. There is one thing I think is magical, which is receiving love from my wife and my kids. That is still feels magical because it feels out of this world. But literally everything else, it's kind of a shame to be an adult in some ways. Like there's, you know that Christmas was what it was, and all those things are stripped away from you. Right? Oh. And it's very easy to get very cynical.
Yeah. Just to, I think, provide a little bit of contrast for what Peter just shared, he's been a part of 1,200, that's 1,200 digital projects for many impactful companies around the globe. He's worked with entrepreneurs, Fortune 50 companies. For those of you who have heard of Fortune 500, this is the first 50 of those 500, and global charities and governments. So Peter is not like some like pushover dude. He is a strong man, very well seasoned all over in all different areas of business. You heard that he grew up in Dubai and was in big boardrooms with his father growing up. And in conclusion, here, and this is number 52, you say, ignore everything you just read, create your own rules. In the worst case scenario, someone leads a non intentional life. And you were getting to this a little bit earlier in the conversation. Just going with the flow and never stepping out. The second worst case scenario is that they try to lead my life, which is back to number 31, jealousy, ignore, sacrifice.
Yep.
The rules in this book work for me, meaning Peter. If you look at something in this book and think, that's full of SHIT, I don't agree, then awesome, fantastic. Take everything and choose what you want to keep. Everyone should lead their own life. You need to create your own rules, as your rules control who you are and what you believe in. I didn't create any of the rules in this book. Peter got them from Proverbs, but he'll learn that later. He says, I observed them. There's nothing here that I feel I've made. It's things that I've watched and discovered as profound. Somebody else's experience might be very different from mine. So what they observe and capture would be their own. Observe yourself and the world around you and write new rules for yourself. If you are not conscious and intentional about your life, you will constantly be replaying the same old patterns. Don't operate on preconditioned thoughts that may or may not be serving you. And the statement at the end, which I really like, is examine your rules. It's your life. Don't you think you ought to be intentional with how you live it? Peter, you wrote those words. Those are very good.
Thank you. There was a lot of edits, but thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's such a gift. Like and this isn't in the book, but I remember when we were having our second child, I remember someone saying, are you hoping for a boy or a girl? And I thought it was the most ludicrous, asinine, stupid question that I've ever been asked. And I still hear it regularly, and I'm like, what? It's ignoring the most important thing, which is anybody that's about to have a baby, their only true desire is that it's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I refuse to believe anything other than that. I remember praying. I remember going to a chapel. I remember walking. I remember cold sweat nightmares at the idea that my wife was about to go through the first thing ever, and obviously it's a very outside chance where I could be asked the question, do you want to save your wife or your child? Like, I could just be through intentionally, because we tried to get pregnant. It was planned, and I could literally be 2 days away from being asked that question. And that scared the life out of me. Or the idea that my daughter would be born, or my son born disabled, or less able, sorry. And I was like, and you want me to give about whether it's a boy or a girl? I do not care. Like, 99 point something percent of my brain is fully in the space of please let them be healthy. Point X of a something is wrapped up in this, are they a boy or a girl? And that's what I think that's kind of one of the secrets to life. Like, we spend so much time consumed with stuff that is irrelevant. And we don't remember the truly important stuff. And I don't care, and there's people think this is weird. I don't care if you're a liar and a cheat and a thief. As long as you're honest about it. I know that sounds a bit silly, but like, I just respect people that are just actually themselves and say what they think and believe what they think, even if I think completely the opposite. Because I would hate for people to wake up and realize that they had wasted their life. Because whether we use this in a spiritual sense or non-spiritual sense, it is an absolute miracle. Like, your life is a gift. And it is the most precious, amazing, beautiful, insane thing. We all share roughly the same DNA, which means we all have the same opportunity. And yet some people squander it. And I think it's almost criminal. Like, to get to the end of your life and go, that isn't the life I wanted to lead. You won't get it right every day and every minute. You'll make mistakes, for sure. But you should be able to look back at the sum of your life and go, if I could have written it up in advance, that's what it would have looked like. Like, that's all I wish for people, is that they get to the end of their days and they look back and go, yeah, if I could have written it up in advance, it would have looked something like that. And if that's working for somebody else, awesome. If that's working for yourself, awesome. If that's being in a traditional relationship, awesome. If that means having 5 partners, awesome. If that means being bisexual, gay, straight, awesome. I don't care. Just do the thing that you're supposed to do whilst you're here. So that when you do die, which is inevitable, We like to pretend it's not, but it is inevitable. We are all going to die. There is going to be one moment when you look back, and I want you to smile and go, yeah, that's what I wanted to do. That's it. If that's all I'm really trying to achieve. I see so many people just, as you said, kind of just glide through their life and never actually make any impact and never do anything. Not because that's what they want to do, but because they never chose to do it. They just chose. They never made a choice. So hopefully they do that. And hopefully they buy the book, and hopefully that helps Lemonade Day get some more inner city kids. They did 30,000 last year, by the way. 30,000 kids went through their program, and they're looking to do 60,000 this year.
And by the way, we didn't talk about this, but you can be proud or rich is not about money. I think you may have figured that out by the conversation that we've been having. And so all proceeds from this book are not going to be funding Peter's family's next visit to Disney, but rather all of the funds are going to Lemonade Day. Peter, do you want to share about Lemonade Day?
Yeah, that's super cool. So I was looking for a charity to support with the book. And I ran into these people. I spoke to them, and we've hit it off straight away. What they do is they have a curriculum that they teach inner city kids about entrepreneurship, about bank accounts, pitching, P&L statements, balance sheets, all of the things you need to run a business. And then the last lesson that they go through is how to pitch, and they have to pitch a non-family member to invest in a Lemonade Day stand. And literally, they have to sell equity like a real business to a member of the community or an uncle or an aunt, but they're not allowed to talk to their mum or dad. And then they run a lemonade stand, and they produce a balance sheet and a yearly earnings, and they pay the guy back or they give them dividends. And I just think that it has so many ripples, because I think we have a very flawed relationship with money. And I think that the younger that we can help kids understand that money is energy and vice versa, and money isn't a bad thing. It's also not a good thing. It's just a thing. And we have actually mentioned, because it's kind of important to me anyway, that not only is the book only $4.99, it also comes with a free mastermind for the year as well. So we talk into each of the lessons every week to give people a space to explore it and hear the story behind it as well. So yeah, that started literally today. We did the first one today.
Oh, wow. Okay. So for those who are listening, this has been going on for a couple of weeks now, depending on when you're listening. Are these calls going to be recorded? How long is this mastermind going? You say once a week, 52 days, 52 weeks?
Yeah, it's going once a week until I'm no longer around. I'm committed to this forever. And as long as they've bought the book, and you said you're absolutely right. There's the quote, but beneath each of the quotes is a 6-digit number. And when you go to register for the mastermind, it just asks you for the code. So as long as you bought the book, you have access to the mastermind, which is free. So you're getting a year mastermind. When I say it out loud, it's such crazy value. It makes me laugh. Getting a year mastermind and the book and supporting a charity for $5. So I don't know how much more we can stack on to give people the opportunity to grow.
Peter, I'm going to ask 2 more questions. Okay, question number 1 is, who can join the mastermind?
Anybody.
You said anybody who buys the book can join the mastermind, but is there a particular type of person, a business owner, a student? Is there anybody who fits any of certain criteria who is eligible for this?
No, I think I speak more into entrepreneurship than I do anything else, because it's what I understand.
Okay. All right.
But a good friend of mine's son was on it today. He's 16. And I had a retiree that's 84 on it today as well. Because each of these, as you said, like every rule in here, go all in or don't bother starting. I think that applies as much as it does to your health, your relationships, and your business. Laugh or leave, don't stay and moan. That definitely applies to your heart. I'm just flicking through now. That definitely applies to your relationships as much as it does business. Um,
Well, another one here I want to note, Peter, and I'm going to interrupt you because I think this is so important for our audience, is number 19, apply the relevance of lifeguard theory. It's not your responsibility to take on the problems of other people, nor is it your responsibility to solve other people's problems. Be supportive, yes. Be there for them if they ask you, for sure. But taking ownership of their issues, no way. And I hear this because you are a teacher, you are a mentor. I hear this coming from a teacher, mentor, boss perspective. But this is just as applicable to parenting.
100%. Well, also relationships as well. They call it the drama triangle. Um, and if you step into the drama triangle is where you have the victim, the protagonist, but the triangle doesn't work without the enabler. So if you have the victim, the protagonist, and the enabler, the drama triangle will carry on. It's like, this isn't my term, this is a term in psychology. It will carry on growing. Um, and it only comes if the enabler is enabling the victim. So lifeguard theory, specifically lifeguard theory is if they're thrashing, let them drown. Lifeguards are taught really quite specifically that they are to let go. If somebody is going to drag them down as well, let go, because the lifeguard is needed to save hundreds of other people, not just that one person. So I think you extend friendship and I think you extend compassion and empathy to people, but you don't jump in the well with them. And this is normally a very male problem because guys want to fix stuff. So we tend to try and fix stuff instead of just listening. So I think this is probably more aimed at guys than anyone else.
Thank you for admitting that, Peter.
It's just true. Well, me and my wife now have a code word of, I now say to her, are you looking for the boy answer or the girl answer?
Ah, that's good.
And she'll say the girl answer. And I go, okay, so that's cool. So all you want me to do is listen and support and be there for you. Great, I can do that. And every too often she goes, no, I just want the boy answer. Just go and fix it, would you? I'm like, yeah, good, awesome. Let's go. Let's do it. But I think it's a little one for everyone. Do you want the boy answer or the girl answer right now? Because I think women forget that men are fundamentally quite stupid. Like we're emotionally dumb. So quite often we just need like a signpost going, no, do this. And we go, oh, okay, I'll do that then. Thanks very much.
I do forget.
Yeah, we are. We're just emotionally dumb. It's there was if you look at the amount of estrogen and progesterone a woman has versus a man, it's like 10,000 to 1. So the depth of feeling that you're capable of feeling, I can get to like 1% of what you can feel. So I get through my 1%, I'm like, oh, we're done now. And you're like, no, I've got another 99 layers to go. I'm like, oh, okay. Right. Wow. Okay. This is going to be a good day. So,
which explains why Dylan Mulvaney thinks that it's okay to be parading himself or herself as a woman and claiming to be like Woman of the Year, and why she doesn't understand.
They.
Oh, it's they.
Well, it's an easy way for you not to have to make a definitive statement.
Thank you. Okay. Why they don't understand why biological and, I don't know, women who identify as women are actually like really irritated about it.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. Okay.
So I don't get it.
All right. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And the easiest tip for guys in the world, just keep listening until a woman's shoulders drop. Like when and again, we're playing into stereotypes right now, but when a woman needs to talk and vent, they will literally, their shoulders, everything will come in and you can actually watch it physically when they finally have released. They'll go,
yes.
It's the easiest thing in the world. You just watch for the shoulders to drop and you go, oh, okay, now I can actually say, but maybe they had a point. But you can't say that anywhere the half an hour before, you're going to get in trouble. Anyway.
Peter, I think your next project should be maybe a relationship seminar.
I think my wife would find that hilarious, but yeah.
I think it's so, yeah. Okay, so I told you I had one other question, and this is regarding the mastermind. Why are you doing this for free?
Because Um, there's two answers to your question. The first one is I get lit up when I'm coaching and helping people. I enjoy it. It fuels me. And I have a problem with the business of coaching because the economics just really don't work. If you spend time with people one on one, the amount of money you're getting for your expertise just doesn't add up. And therefore, I'd rather make it a completely non economical decision. Because if I was going to price this,
This would be very, 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 very expensive.
yeah, I'd probably price it at $200,000 a year
Yeah.
to take my life's knowledge and go through it every week with every person. I'd at least say 200K a year. And therefore, anything less than that, I would feel like I was robbing myself by doing it for that. So by doing it for zero, I've negated the question completely. Gone, okay, this is just an act of service, an act of help, and then I literally made sure that anything I earn from it goes to the charity anyway. So I get nothing, and I think we sold like 5,000 copies of the book, and I get nothing, zero. It all goes straight to the charity, which is awesome. So that's the first answer to your question. The second answer is because of, I think I may have told you this story. My life purpose is I had a hallucination or a vision or a something or a dream or whatever of Olivia when she's 18. Have I told you this or not? Have you ever heard this?
I don't think so. At least not in this interview.
So Olivia is in town with her boyfriend and they have a stereotypical teenage fight. And he has her purse and her phone in his pocket. And he tells her to F off and he walks away. Nothing nefarious, just a stereotypical teenage spat. And she's sitting on the side of the road and she's crying. And a guy walks past and he has three choices. Choice one is he carries on walking and ignores her. Choice two is he says, let me buy you a drink. Or choice three, he says, how can I help? And I am committed to him saying, how can I help? The only problem with that is I'm never going to meet him. And this event is going to happen 10 years from now. It's not going to happen today. So then you get this question of how do I influence a guy that I'm never going to meet 10 years in the future? And the answer is I help you get a little bit better. And I help Lisa get a bit better, and Debbie get a bit better, and Eva get a bit better, and Fernando get a bit better, because it becomes statistics and inevitable that if I can keep pushing ripples out there, that I'm going to not directly but indirectly affect this guy in his day. And hopefully he has a better relationship and a better relationship with his kids and a happier marriage and a better job and all the things that would be needed for him to see a young girl in distress and offer to help instead of trying to take advantage. So everything in my life, whether it's my business, my personal, my philanthropy, people have often said I'm very generous, and I think I'm very selfish. Because I'm not trying to make the world a better place for you, I'm trying to make it a better place for Olivia. And as a wonderful byproduct of doing that, I get to make it better for you as well. But most people, I think, I'll speak for myself. If I had one button that killed my kids and one button that killed everybody else, I'd press the everybody else button without even a thought. And I'd sleep sound that night on the basis of that decision. So I'm here to make the world better for them. I don't want to remove hardship and challenge. That's what shapes a soul, but I do want to remove the trauma. I don't want them to go through what I went through. Because that's just not acceptable. I can't even speak into that can't happen. So yeah, just very selfishly, I just want to make the world a better place for my kids.
I think, Peter, that you are not alone in that, what you call to be selfish. And I think there are a lot of people listening right now who can very much appreciate just what you shared and the perspective that you have as their own perspective, and also appreciate that you have the generosity that, again, you define as selfishness in order for others to benefit. You really are, Peter, causing the change that you want to see in the world. And in your bio online everywhere, it says your mission is to provide real value to others to make the world a fundamentally better place for everyone. And even if you call that selfish, Peter, I believe that your heart really is because you care so much about people.
Don't tell anyone.
I'll do my best to keep it a secret. Peter Swain, you can be proud or rich. Get it on Amazon. I'll drop the link somewhere around here. Peter Swain.
Until next time, thank you.
All right. And thank you for listening. And hey, if you heard anything educational, inspirational, or encouraging today, and you want more people to have the opportunity to hear it as well, please make sure that you subscribe, rate and review, and share. And as always, thank you for your support and for being the change that you want to see in the world.